Hi, I'm Beth, creator of dryitcanit.com. I like to share with you how-tos for canning, dehydrating, as well as recipes that I've created using canned foods and or dehydrated foods. I started to make myself a batch of cream of chicken soup, and it dawned on me maybe that's something I should share online. So if you often are buying, cream of chicken soup or maybe cream of celery or cream of mushroom, I have a way of putting some ingredients together and making a shelf-stable alternative that isn't canned. Now, granted, this isn't necessarily that expensive, and the big thing is, are you going to use the whole can or not? I like to have a shelf alternative, and sometimes I'll use little bits and pieces of it for something or something less than a can. So that's what I use this for. So to start with, I use really ingredients that you probably have at home. I started with 1 cup of evaporated dry milk. Now any kind is fine. I use a cheap kind. Carnation I know puts some out also. This package is full. I usually keep some right in my cupboard because I use this for a lot of things all the time, and I absolutely need to refill this. So anyway, it's evaporated milk, some thyme, some garlic powder. You can use homemade garlic powder if you have it. I don't dehydrate garlic, so I have to buy mine. Some pepper, some dehydrated onions. Use onion flakes if you have it. Use onion powder if you have it. Big thing for me making the cream of chicken, I find that works best is this chicken powder. That's different than chicken bouillon where you have the granules, and it's different than chicken cubes. So look for the chicken powder, and it says powder at the bottom. That's what works for me. And then flour, which is basically a thickener. So to do this, I'm going to show you how I put this together, and I actually will have some links if you prefer to make cream of mushroom or cream of celery. That's an alternative for you. So I have 1 cup of evaporated milk already measured here, and then to that I'm going to add some flour. I'm going to use 3/4 of a cup. Now normally when you measure flour for baking, you always want to spoon it in and level it off. For something like this, not so much. I don't worry so much about it, and I'm not even worried if it's exact. So I've added the flour. Then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of the bouillon or of the chicken powder. Now you might want more or you might want less. Oh, it looks like this is a new container here. So you're going to have to experiment with that and see what you like best for your family. And if you like more, use more. If you like less, use less. You could use this with beef powder if you can find it too. Admittedly, I haven't looked for that, so I don't know if beef powder is a thing. But anyway, I want 1/4 cup of this chicken powder. So I'm just going to pour that right in here. And if it spills over a little bit, I'm okay with that. Because again, it doesn't have to be exact. Then I want to use some onion. Now my dehydrated onion is a little bit big. So what I like to do is either use onion powder if you have it. I usually put mine, I use about a tablespoon actually, heaping tablespoon. And then I like to crush mine a little bit just because my pieces are a little bit big. I tend to use chopped onions, dehydrated onions for things other than this. So you can see my flakes are kind of big. So I just sort of take a spoon and then crush these a little bit. Certainly I could use a grinder, that would work also. Like I said, you could use some onion powder as well. If you're gonna use onion powder, you might start with maybe, I would say maybe 1/2 tablespoon and see, can do it to taste. But these are fairly dry, so they break up pretty easily. And it's one of the few times that I actually break up the dehydrated onions. But dehydrated onions are sure a nice thing to have in your pantry. So anyway, I broke those up. Not quite as well as I want to. Almost looks like Rice Krispies to start with. All right, so I have my my spoonful, and I'm just going to add that right back in there, like so. Then I am going to add some whole thyme, and I like about a teaspoon of that. Let's see if I can get this is a 1/2 teaspoon here. So I'll put a teaspoon of that in here. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measuring cup. A measuring spoon, I should say. Then garlic powder, I use about a 1/2 teaspoon of that. Again, if you have home canned or home dehydrated garlic powder, use that. That would even be better, I'm sure. I don't dehydrate garlic just because I don't. I guess I don't have a good reason why. And then I use about a 1/4 teaspoon or a pinch of black pepper. So I'll just use half of my half teaspoon. Easy. So then what I do is I just mix all of this up. You want to make sure that this mixed up really pretty well. And then to store it, I just put it in a moisture-proof container. I always use a canning jar. I use a quart-sized canning jar. Try not to spill here. And I don't, I don't vacuum seal it necessarily because it's got a fine powder in it, and sometimes those fine powders evaporate or are sucked into your vacuum sealer. And because I am using jars and I'm using lids, I reuse my canning lids for my dehydrated products. I know I've got a really nice moisture-proof container. So just like so, I have everything mixed up. I like to check the bottom just to make sure. And what I have is a yellow colored powder here. So I store that, and I have my cream of chicken soup. Now in a can of cream of chicken soup, you have little bits of pieces of chicken. There's so little in there that I don't think it makes sense. You absolutely can put some dehydrated chicken in here if you want, but if you're gonna dehydrate meat, you really shouldn't have it on your pantry for more than a month or two. So that's the reason I don't add chicken to this. And really, does anybody notice the chicken in this anyway? Now I'm gonna show you how I rehydrate this. So I'm gonna get some water and I'll be right back. All right, let me show you how I make this. I'm going to make just a very small batch here just to show you for demonstration purposes, simply because I'm not going to use any right now. So I will take a measure here, take some of my powder, and I'm literally just going to take a tablespoon of this right now because I do want to save this for other purposes. And then I'm going to add water to the consistency I want. Now I do find that changes a little bit over time. And the trick is, because you have flour, is to add a little bit of water initially and then just sort of stir this up to see what kind of consistency you get. With flour, you want to be a little bit careful because you don't want this to be, what would be the word? I don't want this to be clumpy. So I added equal parts of water and broth, or powder here in water, and it's a little bit soupier than I want. So I'm going to add a little bit more powder. And again, I'm going to not be able to use the same spoon because that's wet. And basically what you want to do is you want to add your water and your powder till you have the consistency that you want. And I like to use mine sometimes a little bit thinner than what I actually get out of the can. I think that's a little bit gloopy, if you will. So really just add a little bit as you go. I think adding your liquid, less is more, because you don't want it to get too watery and then you're going to use more of your powder. So I already have what I need here. I'm going to show you what this looks like. And basically it looks like a thinner version of the cream of chicken soup. And you absolutely can make this thicker if you want. Taste. Honestly, it tastes a lot like this. Can I feel the flour in my mouth at this point in time because I just made this? Yes. But when you're using it to cook, you're not going to know the difference. I can use this for cream of mushroom, which I do often. In that particular case, I'm just going to change the ingredients a little bit. Cream of celery, same thing. I will put a link below. So first thing to do is hit subscribe on below this video so you can subscribe to this channel for more videos. The like button would be great too, but I will have a link below for the recipe so that you can print this out and find out what the alternatives are for cream of mushroom soup and cream of celery soup also. So if you like the video, I would love to hear how this worked out for you. It's a great alternative. You again know exactly what's in your ingredients that you're using. So thanks for watching and happy dehydrating.